Cuevas with Good Morning Gamer. You kind of knew this show was going to come back. I know some of you did because I was talking about it. But in these recent times that we're in where everybody's stuck at home, creativity goes wild. And, I needed a platform. I still need a platform. I'm still tied to video games, so I still needed a platform to be able to discuss some of the things that I'm seeing with the industry and the next generation and games in general. There's still, I still want to discuss this stuff. And the podcast format isn't always the best format to discuss it. So the Morning Gamer has been upgraded to 2.0, which is Good Morning Gamer. Because I'm not really a morning gamer. I get up and I work. That was cool at the time because I wasn't working, but I'm working now. So it's going to be called Good Morning. Instead of Good Morning America, it's Good Morning Gamer. I'm still looking to push 30-minute shows. I don't think it's going to be daily. It will definitely be once a week, maybe more times depending on what's going on. If there's a megaton on Monday and a megaton on Wednesday and a megaton on Friday, I might have 2 shows that week. There's some megatons that are going to be coming out. So, I want to be able to talk about them. I want to be able to share my thoughts and feelings as soon as these news bits are dropped. So in order to do that, I need a platform to do it. Plus, I can't constantly write articles. This show will be posted on the Coalition. It'll be posted on my YouTube page. Writing an article takes a lot of mind space, a lot of time to create an article and have it the way I can do it, but I can't do it as much as I want to do it. Video format's much easier for me. I'm a more visual person anyway. I always have been. I like to write. I can write, but I don't know No, I know that's definitely not where I want to put my writing focus. My writing focus I want to put in other places, other projects that I'm working on. So, a few things. First off, I don't understand. So, I told you guys, I think the deadline is April 30th for this. I'll have to double check. But I said if you go online and you buy a hard copy of my book, you buy a hard copy from Amazon. I'll post the link in the description. It's only $10. Buy a hard copy. Post a review in the review section. When I mean post a review, don't just put 4 or 5 stars or whatever. You have to post a review so it shows your name, because I'm going to go through those reviews through this contest period. Whoever bought the book and posted a review through this contest period between March and April 30th, I think it is. And I'm going to pick a random name, and I will get your next generation console for you. That is Xbox One X, PlayStation 5, or even a Switch, because that's next generation. So whatever you want, and I will purchase it for you. That's what the winner gets. All you got to do is it's a $10 contest ticket. So if you want a chance at a free console, only a few people have bought the book since the contest. I think like maybe 8 or 10 people have bought it since I started the contest. You have a good chance. If you buy it right now, you have a good chance of winning a free console. So don't be stupid. I think it ends the 30th. I'll have to double check. Today's the 15th. I think it ends the 30th or the 20th. The 20th is, yeah, I'll double check. But buy the book between now and then. You're running out of time, and then I'll buy your console for you. And you know how I am when it comes to prizes. I will buy that shit on Amazon and ship it directly to your house. So if you want a chance to win a free next generation console, buy the book. So this is more like a pilot episode. I want to be able to produce the show a little bit more, so I have to do some things, but I wanted to put this out there to let you guys know that it is coming, or it's here, actually. And it's kind of going to be like the old Morning Gamer meets Rantosaurus, because there's always going to be a rant, especially with every new generation. For instance, why is it that when these new technologies come out, and they're not new technologies, but when old PC technology finally gets to consoles, all the console gamers who aren't PC gamers Don't get it twisted, because I know if you're a PC gamer who has consoles like me, you know all the terminology and you know all the stuff. So now, ray tracing, which is already available on PC, ray tracing is a huge thing for next generation consoles. Okay, and these console gamers, especially ponies, they hear these buzzwords, teraflops, and now teraflops is all anybody's talking about, and teraflops is a measurement of speed, a measurement of power. That measurement doesn't always mean everything, because when you're a developer, you don't develop games based on how many teraflops you have. You develop games based on your ideas and your concepts. And you build the game and you make it work. Now, if you don't have enough teraflops, enough power to realize that dream fully, then you start cutting corners. Okay? But most developers don't really fully utilize all the hardware. There's always stuff to learn. If you look at first gen Xbox One, PS4 titles and compare them to stuff that just came out this year, it's a huge difference, because there's always a learning curve. But now, since everything is based on x86 architecture, most of that learning curve is gone, and these developers are just going crazy. But the thing is, it's just like back in 2013 when PlayStation said they were going to have I've talked about this many times, GDDR5. Never heard a console gamer ever mention the type of memory that was in their console. Never. They mentioned GDDR5 in the conference, and every console gamer is quoting GDDR5 like they know what the fuck they're talking about. Then it's fucking teraflops, and the whole big deal. Oh, Xbox is 12 teraflops, and all these stupid rumors from nobodies. All these people on Suicide Watch posting stuff like PlayStation is going to have 13, and this and that, and or it's going to be 11.5 or whatever. Like it matters. None of this shit matters. Just because Xbox has more teraflops than the PlayStation 5 doesn't necessarily mean that multi-platform games are going to run better on the Xbox. Okay? So, don't get it twisted. Okay? And then they were throwing out stuff like RDNA 2. Like, why are console gamers throwing out that word RDNA 2? It's just AMD's new architecture. It's the next architecture. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. If you're not a PC gamer, this shouldn't mean anything to you, because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's like me talking about parts in a jet plane. I don't know what the fuck, how a jet plane runs. So you tell me stuff that's in a jet plane, I'm not going to run around and start quoting it. You know, it just stop. I said the only important thing here with the next gen consoles is wait until they are released. Wait till the games come out. And let that be your deciding factor. And don't think that because Microsoft hasn't been doing well with their first party the last few years that they're not going to do well this time. The difference is when you're behind the 8 ball, you do what you can to get away from that. So I really think that they're focusing on giving us those great AAA games that you find on PlayStation. So don't think just because they didn't do well this past generation that they're not going to fix that and do well the next generation. And what's the other big thing? Everybody's talking about the SSD in the PlayStation and the fact that it's not available on PC yet. The SSD that's in the PlayStation is not available on PC, but it's not available anywhere right now. You can't even get it on PlayStation. By the time the PlayStation 5 comes out in November, that SSD or something equivalent will be available on the PC market. But the thing is, it's just a drive. So, as we've seen in some of the demos, the SSD is going to increase load times. It's going to make load management better, or a thing of the past. So load management, things a developer has to do when loading all that data on the screen. So when you see bad load management, you'll see buildings pop in the distance. You'll see buildings popping in. That's bad load management, because we're seeing it as it happens. Daytona USA was notorious for that on the Sega Saturn. And I wouldn't necessarily call it bad load management, but I mean, they did what they had to with what they had to work with, which was the Sega Saturn. And they took a badass arcade racing game and they ported it over to the Sega Saturn, and they did a damn good job with the gameplay and everything, but the graphics in the Saturn were nothing compared to what they had in Model 2. But because of that, you saw pop in. Load management. That's load management. Pop in. There's not enough memory to load the entire level. So as the car is driving past objects, they're being erased from memory, and then new objects are being loaded in memory, and you're seeing them pop up in the distance because you only have a block of memory that's so big. So imagine having a glass and you're holding the glass sideways, and as you're emptying water out of the glass on one side, you're able to fill in water on the other side. That is all the space you have. So load management, and when we say load management issues, we're talking about, well, the game works, it plays fine, but you see buildings popping in the background. That's a memory issue. That's a load management issue. So you need a couple things. You need a drive that can move all that data off the drive onto the memory bus, into the graphics processor, and out to the Z buffer really fast. So you need a lot of memory, you need fast memory, you need a fast bus, and you need a fast GPU to process it all. With the SSD, you're now taking away one of the slowest things in a console. The slowest moving part in a console is the hard drive. We're talking about technology that is like decades old. When you put a standard hard drive in your console and it has to spin that platter to load the data, that is your bottleneck. So with Microsoft and Sony making an SSD the main drive of their system, they're cutting out that bottleneck by putting in SSDs. SSDs are fast by nature. They're faster than hard drives. So when you have a dedicated system with an SSD drive, that means your games are going to load so much faster than they ever have. And that whole Cerny speech with all that techno talk he did, it was just a way of him saying, we have a badass SSD that's going to load our levels really fast. And because it can move data, tons of data off that SSD really fast, developers don't have to do the hocus pocus and the tricks in the background and build levels where you can't see things pop in. They don't have to do that anymore because they have the bandwidth to be able to load a gigantic level and have a super huge draw distance, and you never see any of that stuff. And they don't have to do all this extra work in the background to hide it all. They can focus on just developing the game, no more tricks. You ever work on a car or something, and we have this thing called Mickey Mousing, where you have to zip tie something or put duct tape on something just to hold things together. You can't see all that stuff, but it's how you hold things together. Well, that's what developers have to do when they make these games, and they don't have the power to do what they want to do. Now that consoles have caught up to PC, and I'm saying consoles have caught up to PC because they pretty much have. I mean, there's a point where you get diminishing returns even on the PC. All you're getting on the PC right now is faster frame rates. That's it. Developers really aren't utilizing the power of the PC like they should. There are a few developers that do this. I've said this before, DICE, CD Projekt Red. But for the most part, you're going to get 4K, you're going to get high resolution textures, you're going to get faster frame rates, but that's all they're really doing. Now with more ray tracing games coming out, you've seen some of the stuff they've done with Minecraft. It's gorgeous. We're going to see stuff that we've probably only seen on PC before. So now consoles are going to have the fast frame rates. There's no doubt in my mind that every single game released for the PS5 and Xbox One X will at the very least be 1080p 60. No doubt. And if a developer releases a game on those consoles and it doesn't sustain 1080p 60, there's something wrong. But this SSD isn't going to do anything but load data fast and give the developers the opportunity to focus on the game instead of working on tricks to hide some of the inadequacies of the system. So that's the great thing about the SSD. But don't get online saying that even though the Xbox has more teraflops, the SSD is going to be the game changer and it's going to make PS5 games better. No, that's not how this shit works. It is a drive. Data moves from the drive to the bus, to the memory, to the GPU, to the frame buffer, and on your screen. That's where your games are held. That's where they're loaded. That's where all your levels are loaded. And for them to be able to load up like 5 gigs or whatever, all your data loads are going to be super fast. Your levels will load super fast. And same with Xbox One X, your levels are going to load super fast. And you might see that games, multi-platform games, you might see that they load faster on the PS5, just like a split second faster. But there's other things going on with both of these systems that even we don't know about. I mean, the Xbox has a wider bus. When you have a wider memory bus, you don't have to move the data as fast as you do like on the PlayStation 5. So 256 bursts versus, what was it? 300 and I forget what the Xbox was. So when you have a wider bus, more lanes, more lanes on the highway. More lanes on the highway, more cars can get through. You're moving more traffic, you're moving more data. So Xbox is doing that a little bit differently. I would say don't comment on the technology if you really don't know what you're talking about. I see these arguments and these conversations, and I ask, okay, explain to us what RDNA 2 is without searching on Google. I want to hear in your own words. And I never hear from him again. You know? Explain what teraflops means. Don't Google it, just in your own words. The argument stops right there. So all most people are doing is they hear Cerny, they hear developers talking about stuff, and then they regurgitate it, you know, in a means to win some stupid argument on social media. Just stop. Please, just stop with this shit. Wait till the games and the consoles come out and enjoy them. You're not a fucking developer. Okay? There is no console war. Okay? We want to play stupid kick-ass fucking games, and that's all we really want. You know, whether one system's better than the other doesn't fucking matter. You could argue iPhone versus Android. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay? Pepsi versus Coke. You're screaming into a vacuum. Just try to wait for the consoles to come out and enjoy some of the cool things that are going to happen on the new consoles for this next generation. I'm not getting any of these consoles. You're going to have to... not only are you going to have to make a game that I've never seen before, it's going to have the most incredible gameplay I've ever seen, the most incredible graphics. It's got to be something completely new. And I'm sorry, if you're making a first-person shooter, a third-person action, walking simulator game, racing game, none of that stuff would get me to buy a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox One X. You know, considering I have a PC anyway. But there's nothing that can get me to... You make a Shaw Brothers Kung Fu game, I'm all in. Or I'm waiting to see if the developer's making it on PC. But I don't see a reason for me to spend money on that anymore. But be happy for what you have. And be happy at where we are at right now in this generation. And, you know, have a good time when the stuff comes out. You're going to love it when you get your new console and get to play and see all these new graphics and new experiences and cross-play and whatever other cool things they're going to do. It's going to be a blast. So try to enjoy it. Try not to argue too much about the stupid stuff because you really don't know anyway. Just wait. Everything's going to be out this year, hopefully, and we'll get to experience Generation 9 for the first time in history. Somewhat. I still consider the Switch Generation 9. You can at me if you want. But, you know, it's that time. So try to appreciate it and have some fun with it. And stop arguing about it. It's just really ridiculous. So, like I said, this is a pilot show. Look for these to come out at least once or twice every week, depending on where the flow of news traffic is. If big news comes out, you can be sure that I'll have a Good Morning Gamer show. And that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys on. I know this is only a 20-minute episode, but this is just like, this is the warm up. So I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace out.